Revzcards taking on Emre.
I'm very curious to see what decks the players have brought. So far, we've seen an absolute dominance of the fire attribute with 3 out of the 4 first decks being fire attribute, Tenpai twice and Fire King Snake Eye once.
Ooh. Sage with Eyes of Blue. Actually, these are 2 of the biggest fans of the branded that we said before, but also of Blue Eyes. We spoke with them earlier. A lot of directions this deck can go in. Of course, you do kind of have to respect Nibiru, the Primal Being, given the fact that this deck does special summon a lot in a single turn. Then again, what kind of deck doesn't these days?
That is true. Labyrinth, maybe, but
maybe.
That's one of the very few decks, Maiden of White, being activated here. True Light is a card that made Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit popular again, because True Light, incredibly versatile, can special summon out Blue Eyes or search for spell and trap cards, set them directly to the field so it can't be edged.
That is true, but True Light, when it is removed from the field, does pretty much destroy your entire field, unless you're able to get the Spirit Dragon from the Blue Eyes and actually negate the graveyard effect of your own card in the graveyard. Really a lot of nuance to this strategy. It is really interesting to see where this will go. Of course, Blue Eyes White Dragon now on the field in 2025.
I love this. This just brings me back to 2016, actually, where the World Championship was won by Shunsuke Hiyama. But yeah, Blue Eyes with the Maiden of White now. And this is exactly what you were saying. The Spirit is going to be set up perhaps before True Light is even activated. So if a Ghost Ogre occurs, you can just negate it.
Yes, indeed. But speaking of Ghost Ogre, we have yet to see any disruption, any information on what Emre has in hand, has in deck. What is Emre playing to the point where Revs can just freely do all of this? Granted, the initial commitment to the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon does suggest that perhaps Revs is respectful of that Nibiru, the Primal Being that we mentioned earlier. We could very well see a premature end to this turn.
That is true. I mean, we're playing around Ghost Ogre. Oh,
Bingo Machine, go!
This card...
It does indeed go.
Yeah, that is true, and it goes off as well. Or is Emre trying to negate this? I don't think that he's toggling right now. So we're looking for 3 cards with Blue Eyes in their names, and one of them is going to be decided randomly, and it's going to be added to the hand of Revzcards. So this is a very heavy Blue Eye strategy. We've seen strategies that are very minimalistic on the Blue Eyes side, with only the Blue Eyes White Dragon as the Blue Eyes monsters. But this also has the Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon.
We love a commitment to a theme here.
Wishes for Eyes of Blue. I think one of the most powerful spell cards that came out. It feels a bit like the melody of the Awakening Dragon from back in the day, discarding 1 and then searching for 2 dragons. This time around, you add a level 1 Light Tuner and a spell or trap card with Blue Eyes.
Effect Veiler, underrated Light Tuner here. Of course, a lot of people do forget that it is also a tuner. Just because innately it is a disruption from the hand, and it will be again this time round, you have to imagine. However, just being able to access that through the utility of the Blue Eye strategy, really, really valuable here. Revzcards, though, we said respect the Nibiru, the Primal Being, just special summon as little as possible, minimize your plays within a single turn, and just let Emre react.
Funnily enough, the entire field that Revzcards put up on the monster side was 5 summons, so Nibiru could have happened there after the 5th summon. Now Lightning Storm is a huge start here. Yes, your Spirit won't get destroyed, or your Spirit Dragon in fact, but I mean, if all these spell and trap cards get destroyed, like the Majesty that has been searched before, this is going to be very, very tough. Is this another one of the Tenpai games? So we special summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the graveyard, put up a little bit of a defense. Maiden of White will also be summoned back from the graveyard then.
Very important that if the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon is forced to commit its effect to negating this True Light, it could very well just use up a lot of Rev's disruption, and that may very well have to be the case here.
Yep, you can still tribute the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon later on to summon out the Neo Ultimate Blue Eyes White Dragon. I think that might also be the fusion one. So it's the new Synchro monster.
Please don't quiz me on Blue Eyes White Dragon. Infinite Knight maybe, but...
Alright, so there is still an interruption. We are negating the True Light, and I think that we then can not special summon our Maiden of White then, because we have chosen to not activate the trigger on this one, so we can negate the True Light. So also very different. Oh!
Sky Striker Mecha, Widow Anchor. So, of course, the Sky Striker decks that we've seen so far have just been Sky Striker Tenpai Dragon. Now, with the commitment of Lightning Storm, we did...
Called by? Do we see a called by here? No! Okay, that was a very interesting Widow Anchor, because Blue Eye Spirit Dragon can just dodge the Widow Anchor.
True enough, Blue Eye's Ultimate Spirit Dragon are now coming out.
My bad. Very much my bad. We could have just kept the Anchor to negate the Ultimate Spirit Dragon here. Oh.
Into the Void, going to commit for more draws here. Of course, very kind of double-edged sword here, where if you're not able to fully utilize this hand within the turn, you will lose it. Emre, though, he seems pretty confident that he can close this one out in this turn, which suggests, again, Tenpai Dragon. Maybe rearing its head against another kind of dragon this time around.
Which ones are the superior dragons? The ones with blue eyes or the Tenpai dragons? I don't want to say anything here that Tenpai might be stronger than blue eyes, but the field of Revzcards isn't looking too great. However, Emre is taking a lot of time with this one, so if he only has one way to play his turn...
We do have the Effect Veiler waiting in the hand to run Disruption if this combo is contingent on a normal summon or anything from the monster zone.
That is true. Also, Emre taking time here is making me a little bit nervous because we know that Into the Void is going to discard all the cards. So I have a feeling that there's like a timer going down there.
Afterburners, yep. So another Sky Striker card committed here. We will reach that sweet spot of the 3 in graveyard very soon to enable the additional effect of a lot of these Sky Striker spells. Does seem to be committed here, so...
The funny thing is that you can either negate this with the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, or you activate the effect when it's destroyed to summon back the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, and then you're able to negate another graveyard effect. However, I don't think that's crazy.
There is the negation that you did mention here. Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, of course, preventing that.
Afterburners.
Is this Tenpai Dragon Sky Striker is the question, or is it something else entirely? Okay, yeah, that is... looking more and more like Tenpai Dragon Sky Striker without actually a Tenpai Dragon named monster being on the field. About as Tenpai Dragon as you could possibly get.
But now Emre needs either 2 cards to play with the Tenpai strategy or Genroku. Genroku plays around Effect Veiler, because if you try to Effect Veiler,
you can tribute it off and then,
exactly. And you can also activate it in the battle phase, and there you can't Veiler anything anymore. So normal summon Genroku.
There we go.
Emre just knows how to pilot his Tenpai dragons, and this is looking good. Now, Effect Veiler in hand is not doing anything against this. However, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring could be crucial.
Yes, indeed. We do have a couple of unknown cards in the hand of Revzcards, but here is the immediate Effect Veiler. You have to imagine immediate Tenpai Dragon Genroku effect in response to tag out. Is there an Ash? There is nothing so far. Emre now going to special summon another Tenpai Dragon from the deck. It's Pydra. Does that get to have its effect? Does that get to resolve? Is there a response? There's no response from Revzcards.
Wow, I thought there would maybe be another Effect Veiler, because then the third one would have been absolutely phenomenal to force out the Pydra, negate that one then. But we have Sangen Kaiman in hand. This is looking good for Revzcards. Just needs to go into the battle phase. Now we are in battle phase currently, and this is where Tenpai Dragon likes to be. Sangen Kaiman is now being activated. It resolves immediately. No Ash Blossom Chandra added to hand, and guess what? We can special summon it.
Yes, we can, and yes, we will. Tenpai Dragon Chandra now coming out to join the party. Where do we go from here, though? What more additional monsters can Emre summon? Pretty much a whole extra deck worth, unless Revs decides to suddenly be able to use a disruption that he'd been saving in his hand this whole time.
There is a cool battle phase effect for Revzcards with a Maiden of White. When it's targeted for an attack, you can special summon out either a Light Tuner or a Blue Eyes White Dragon. And even though the Blue Eyes White Dragon is immensely powerful, I don't know how much it will do.
It's an invincible engine of destruction.
Exactly, but is it going to destroy the Tenpai Dragons?
For the moment, it has more attack points, if that helps.
That is true, and Fadra is not on the field yet. Veiler is being special summoned into defense position, so that's cool. Chandra is now, of course, also going to activate the effect before the attack resolves.
So the lack of Sangen summoning is obviously not ideal for the Tenpai Dragon. That is pretty much the only good thing currently for Revzcards.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see just where Emre goes with this. Of course, if this attack does connect, it does mean that suddenly everything is switched on for Emre, and suddenly we do start to delve into the extra deck for that Sangenpai Transcendent Dragion eventually, for the Trident Dragion. There's so many possibilities this Tenpai Dragon deck can go.
Yep. We're clearing off the Effect Veiler, and I think before we attack with Fadra, well, we might as well start to attack with Fadra. We have Genroku in the graveyard as well to summon it out. Currently, we take no damage from attacks here. We're synchro summoning immediately the Biden Dragion, and this one is going to try and summon out the Fadra afterward. This is kind of losing to DD Crow.
Potentially, yes. Blue-Eye Spirit Dragon, of course, as well, able to run some disruption on the graveyard effects in a similar manner, but unfortunately is no longer on the field because it got swiftly dispatched. Emre looking to close this one out convincingly, rivaling his Snipe Hunter's teammate in the 1-0 record, but the duel is not over yet. Blue Eyes White Dragon stands between Emre and a clear victory here. Revzcards, do you have anything in those cards? 2 in hand. Anything you can do cannot happen anymore because Sangenpai Transcendent Dragion denies all effects in the battle phase.
And Fadra, funnily enough, also protects it from being destroyed by Battle. Chandra Fadra attacking for the first damage in this game. Then we have the Biden Dragon special summoning itself out of the graveyard, going for another 2.6k of damage. And of course, what can we activate next? This isn't enough damage. Wait, we have Fadra effect.
Yes, indeed we do. And we also have Trident Dragion. We mentioned earlier, can potentially put out 18,000 points of damage in a single turn. This time around, only needs 2,300. Gonna still, you know, go for an extra couple of thousand, but in the end, ultimately, was enough to seal the deal for Emre here as he takes a 1-0 victory over Revzcards.
Yep, it's just Sangenpai Transcendent Dragon is just so good because this card, once it hits the field in the battle phase, you basically know, okay, there's only one player playing anymore, and it's going to be so strong. Every time it hits the field, you basically kind of win the game.
Yeah, it was a question of resources, I think, based on what was established on the field there. We saw in the previous Tenpai Dragon victory for Celta that the Orcus disruption was not enough to deal with the Tenpai Dragon onslaught. Again, this time around, though, despite having access to a little bit more in terms of the disruption, in terms of the negation, in terms of the flexibility with the Blue Eye strategy, just the access to a negation, the return from the graveyard for a couple of cards as well, wasn't enough to stop the Tenpai Dragon here, wasn't enough to stop Emre from equaling Josh's record, and wasn't enough to stop Revzcards from losing this duel and moving to a 0-1 record in the group.
I mean, Emre's hand was absolutely nasty there.
It was pretty good.
With the Feather Duster or Lightning Storm and then the Raigeki, everything he needed. Playing around the Effect Dweller with the Genroku in hand, it was absolutely perfect. But first, let's hear it from him what he has to say about this game.
Thank you very much, Leo. So I am here with Emre, who's just won that feature match. And also, from what we were just hearing mere seconds before coming on screen, you actually didn't have any engine in hand, but you drew the Genroku after Rev's first turn. Is that true?
Yeah, so my hand was all breaker cards. I had 2 Sky Striker cards. I had Raigeki, I had Lightning Storm, and I had 1 Into the Void. And I drew a Droplet for turn. And I was like, okay, this might be a problem since I can't win the game this turn, and my deck really relies on winning the game in 1 turn. And I used Into the Void, I drew the Genroku. I knew he had a Wailer, and my Genroku can dodge the Effect Wailer because it's a quick effect. So I felt pretty safe because I knew the other 2 cards in his hand. So yeah.
Wow, a very confident approach when it comes to Tenpai, because you were up against, obviously, the new Blue Eyes that we're seeing a bit in the format. People like the classic Blue Eyes. Do you enjoy going up against that deck?
I really like playing against it, yeah. I can already spoil it. I also like playing it, so maybe you can guess what my second deck is going to be.
Interesting. But why did you end up also picking Tenpai? I'm guessing also because it's a very, very strong, competent deck that is also very prevalent in the format, both in the actual game and in the Invitational. Yeah. It's a very popular deck.
So I believe that Tenpai is really good for this tournament because it's a best of 3. And I want to win the tournament. I just don't want to make it into the top cut. I want to win. So if I get into the top cut, which is something that I'm expecting, honestly, I always have the choice if I lose the game that I can pick second, pick my Tenpai deck, and my Tenpai deck is really, really strong going second. So I always have either a deck that's really good going first or a deck that's really good going second.
Well, That's very confident. And considering you're a previous world champion, I'd say that's kind of very much due. But congratulations on doing that. Best of luck in your next games. Guys, we have our next one coming up soon. Joker versus Barcode. So let's have a quick interview with Joker.